This is National Police Week, a time to appreciate our men and women in law enforcement, some well-deserved recognition for their service. But this is also a week just like any other week. It's marred by tragedy. 5 police officers across the country have been shot in the line of duty this week. 1 tragically killed in an ambush-style attack. And yet there won't be mass protests in the streets about this. There won't be breathless media coverage. There won't be ongoing outrage. But we're going to highlight it. During this police week, let's remember that our police are often under fire. In Euclid, Ohio, Officer Jacob Durbin responded to a domestic disturbance call from a woman who said she and her child were being threatened by the baby's father. When Durbin and his fellow officers responded, the man ambushed them, opening fire and striking Officer Durbin, who was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. A military vet, Officer Durbin was newly engaged to be married, 23 years old. Also this week in Atlanta, 3 officers were shot during a confrontation with an armed suspect. 2 of the officers still hospitalized, recovering from surgery from their wounds. Columbus, Ohio, a man opened fire on officers outside an Amazon facility while trying to flee police. You can see here the guy getting out of his car and firing at the officers, striking 1 of them. Before the officers returned fire, the man was struck eventually and later pronounced dead. The officer, thankfully, was treated at a local hospital and released. That all happened during a week in May, which also happens to be National Police Week. Also this week, 6 migrants charged with beating 2 NYPD officers in the video you see here were offered pretty good plea deals. The cops were repeatedly kicked in the head and beaten as they tried to break up a rowdy crowd in Times Square. The proposed plea agreements would have the migrants charged in the attack out on the street within 6 months to 2 years. Again, it all happened during a week in May, which happens to be National Police Week. Then there was a disturbing incident at a New York City courthouse where a New York Black Lives Matter founder berated an officer at a court hearing for an NYPD sergeant who's on trial for manslaughter for throwing a cooler at a fleeing suspect on a motorcycle in a case many believe never should have been brought.
You see how I'm all up on you? You a vagina.
Once again, it happened during a week in May, which also happens to be National Police Week. This is every week, all right? 22 officers so far this year have been shot and killed in the line of duty across the country. That is up from the same time last year. And while I don't relish spotlighting police deaths and even disrespect during National Police Week, it's an issue that demands our attention. But there was much more than just that during this week in May. There were also many acts of heroism, most never recognized, never appreciated. A couple caught on camera, like this week in the New York City subway. Officers rescue a guy who fell on the tracks after suffering a medical episode with an oncoming train rapidly approaching.
Come on.
That's what police officers do every single day in every single community all across the country. They are not perfect, but they are the ones who throw themselves on the tracks to rescue someone from the oncoming train. They're the ones who approach the crazed gunman threatening kids. They're the ones who put themselves in situations that no one else would. Yes, this is Police Week, but it's also just a week in May. With the same issues facing officers around the country, our men and women in law enforcement deserve our thanks and our gratitude for their service. And so I say thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.